Hey, it's Jess. Welcome back. Today I'm here with another Way Back Wednesday where I will be talking about all the books that I read in April of 2022. Looking at my Goodreads, I read a total of 8 books that month. 7 of them were new, one was a reread. The first book I read was a nonfiction book called Sex Cult Nun by Faith Jones. This book was written by Faith Jones, who was the granddaughter of the founder of the Children of God cult. So this book is her talking about growing up in that cult, and she grew up in South Korea or China, somewhere like that. She grew up in Asia. And it was all about what it was like living basically in these communes and how they became, like, that cult became so huge and kind of how she ended up getting out of it. It was really interesting to me. I had never read anything, or I didn't really know anything about the Children of God. And I'm sure I had heard of them, but again, I didn't know anything about them. So I really enjoyed this book when I read it. I thought it was really interesting and I thought it was really well written. The next book I read was Neon Gods by Katee Robert. This is the first book in the Dark Olympus series. So it is a spicy Greek myth retelling, basically. You are following Persephone and Hades in this book. In the Dark Olympus series, Olympus is a town that has been sectioned into 2 sections, the upper section, the lower section, and it's intersected by the river Styx. There are 13, people in charge, so the 13 gods, like Zeus and Apollo and Hera, and some of them are legacy positions where the only way you get that position is if you were born into it. So, like, if my mother was, Aphrodite, when she dies, I would be Aphrodite. Aphrodite is not a legacy position, but that's just an example. And some of them are, they get earned in other ways. And so in this one, Persephone's mother, Demeter, is trying to marry her off to the current Zeus, who is not a good guy. And to escape, she crosses the river Styx and goes into hiding and is helped by Hades, who people didn't know was even still alive. Everyone thought that he was dead. And no one goes to the underworld or the lower section of Olympus. You have to have permission to cross the river Styx and everything like that. So anyway, I thought it was a really good retelling. I love Greek mythology and I love Katee Roberts' writing. Again, this was a very spicy book. It is the first in the Dark Olympus series. I believe there are 8 now, but I think she has another one set to come out too soon. I believe the 8th one just came out. But anyway, if you're looking for a spicy Greek myth book, check this one out. The next book I read was Percy Jackson the Olympians 4, which is The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. This is my favorite book in the first 5 Percy Jackson, like the Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is my favorite book in that series. In this book, you discover the labyrinth has been growing under America and that it kind of has a mind of its own, and like other, realms, like other aspects of Greek mythology, because America is where life is centered now. Everything's moved to America. That's why Mount Olympus is above the Empire State Building. And you find out the labyrinth has been growing and connecting all of America underneath. And Percy and Annabeth go on a quest. They are looking for Grover again, I believe. Grover's missing. Percy and Annabeth go on a quest and they have to go through the labyrinth. And, yeah, it's my favorite one. I don't know why. I love the story and I just really like the writing in this one. I love all the different areas that you meet and go through, all the different parts of the quest. I don't know. It's a really fun ride. And my mom read Percy Jackson, but she stopped after the 3rd book. And I was like, you have to at least finish the 4th book because that's my favorite. You stopped right before you got to the best book in the series. But anyway, yeah, Battle of the Labyrinth, definitely my favorite of the first 5 Percy Jackson books. The next book I read was The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This is not the copy that I read. I have since bought a copy for myself because I love this book so much. You are following Linus Baker. He works for, he's basically an auditor for orphanages that house magical children. And he is told by extremely upper management one day that he is going on this case to an island to check out this orphanage that houses the most dangerous of children. And they need Linus to go and see that everything is okay and decide whether they should keep this orphanage open or if they should shut it down and send these children somewhere else. And he is terrified because he's a scaredy cat, and he's like, I'm going to this house. They're sending me to this house full of scary, dangerous children. And so then you meet the children, and they obviously are not as scary and dangerous as extreme upper management thinks they are. They are just different. And he falls in love with them. They fall in love with him. I adore the children on this island. This story is really all about people are going to judge you based on what you look like, and you don't have to let that be your defining characteristic. Don't live your life based on how other people perceive you. Be yourself because, yourself is wonderful. And it brings a smile to my face every time I think about this book. I simply adore it. I recommend it to everyone. And the sequel has come out. It came out in September. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I do have it on hold, so hopefully I'll get it soon. I have read the first 4 chapters. I got an advanced copy of the first 4 chapters. Reading the beginning of the next book it flowed so seamlessly from the end of the first book, and I can't wait to get back into this story with these children and with Linus. The next book I read was The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan. This is the 3rd book in the Wheel of Time series. I don't remember a lot of what happens in this one. You're following the dragon who has been reborn. The dragon is the person who I think is supposed to save the world. He's the hero and the savior for the good guys. And in the first book, there's 3 potential people who could potentially be the Dragon Reborn. By this time, you find out who it is and you're following him. There's more quests involved. This is the last Wheel of Time book that I read. Again, I don't remember very much about this one. I liked it when I read it. It was kind of a slog to get through, though. Sometime when I have a lot of time, I would like to sit down. I feel like these books are definitely, for me, easier to read if I just read them back to back. And I had so much time between each one that I kind of forgot what was happening. And so that really killed my enjoyment of them. And so I tried to read the 4th book after this. I don't even remember the name of it. I got 100 pages in and quit, which says something because that was oh my gosh, 100 pages in was nothing because these books are chunky because they're high fantasy. But yeah, I did read the 3rd Wheel of Time book. I just don't remember anything about it. The next book I read was Little Disasters by Sarah Vaughan. In this book, you are following Liz and Jess. Liz is jealous of her friend Jess, a mother of 3, who seems like she has the perfect life. She's a stay-at-home mom. Her kids love her. Everything is wonderful. Well, one night, Jess brings her 10-month-old daughter into the hospital with an injury, and Liz is the doctor on call, but the story that Jess is telling does not match with the injuries on little Betsy, and so this causes Liz to question how much she really knows about her best friend. I don't remember why I read this book. I think I was trying to do a reading challenge, and I needed a size word maybe. I don't remember. I have no idea how I found this book. I found it on Kindle, or I found it on Libby on my library app. I was searching for a book. Something tells me that I, for some reason, put the word little in, or big, or something. I don't remember. But somehow I was led to this book and I really enjoyed it. It was a really good thriller. And I was highly surprised. I enjoyed this one a lot, and although I don't remember why I read it, I'm really glad that I did. The next book I read was The Patient's Secret by Loreth Ann White. I, at the time, was in an online book club, and this is the book that they had chosen to read that month, so that's why I read it. And it is about a small community where a woman is out on a jog and she is killed. And so it kind of like upsets everything in the neighborhood. Someone from out of town moves in. Like she used to live in this city, but then she left and now she's back with her son, and a detective comes in and everyone's hiding secrets. Obviously, because it's called The Patient's Secret. The main character is a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and she's talking about her patient. I don't really remember. I remember that I'm pretty sure it's this book. This book and Little Disasters both had a character with the same name, and so I got really, really confused because I read them back to back. So sometimes it was hard for me to, like, I was telling my friend about it and I was like talking. She was in the book club too. And she's like, that didn't happen in this book. And I'm like, that's a different book that I was talking about. I liked this one, but since I read it right after Little Disasters, I enjoyed Little Disasters much more than I enjoyed The Patient's Secret. And the last book that I read in April of 2022 was Unwind by Neal Shusterman. This is a book that I had heard about for a while, and I saw that they had it on my library app, so I downloaded it. This is a young adult dystopian novel. It actually is part of a series, which I did not know when I read it, where it's the concept of everyone gives birth to children. If you're pregnant, you give birth to your child. You have up until they turn 13 to decide if you want to keep that child. And if you don't want to keep that child, then they get unwound. And so they unwind them, and they can use their body parts, like the unwound parts, for other people. So like if I had a child that I didn't want, so I had him unwound, but someone else had a healthy child that they wanted but needed a new kidney, then they would take the unwound parts of my kid and give him the kidney. It's it kind of breaks your brain when you sit and think about it. So that's the world. So you're following a boy who hears his parents talk about how they've decided to unwind him, so he runs away and ends up meeting another group of children who are also on the run because they also don't want to be unwound. And basically they're illegal fugitives now because they're running away from the government. And so you're following them as they try to get to a safe haven and not get unwound. The whole concept is so strange, but I really, really liked this book. And I think about it a lot. I don't remember like very many specific parts of the book, but just the concept in general, it pops in my head a lot. I keep forgetting that it's part of a series, and every once in a while I'll be like, I really want to reread that and continue with the series. I just haven't. But soon, hopefully I will, because I did really enjoy this book, and it was just such a unique concept. I've never even thought of anything like this. And the way that the ending of the first book is really makes me want to continue with the series and see where it's going to go, because it was just a wonderful story, a unique story, and had, the ending really packed a punch. So those are all the books that I read in April of 2022. It was a pretty good reading month. I enjoyed most of the books that I read. There's a few on there that I would like to read again. And yeah, overall, it was a good month. So now I want to know, have you read any of these books? What did you think? All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.